Okay, hopefully we got through and got a chance to get everyone to let you know what they're doing for 4th of July. Maybe you got some ideas yourself. Lots of golf carts involved, it sounded like, at our table, along with the fireworks in the neighborhood. At this time, I will invite Paul Wickensheimer up to do our invocation and pledge.
Shall we pray? Our Father, we're grateful for our meeting today. Thank you for each one that is able to be with us, and for those that might be watching and those that can't be here that would like to be. Father, we're needy people. We trust you as our maker to provide for us, provide for our needs. Pray for our speakers today. Pray for the non-profit organizations that they represent. Thank you for the work that they do day in and day out, many times without thanks, but such a vital part of our community and all they do and many contributions they make to serve others. Now bless our meeting today. We thank you for the food. Thank you for the hands that prepared it. Bless our time together. We commit this time into your hands. We pray in thy name. Amen. Join with me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome our guests to today's meeting. As I call your name, you're welcome to wave or stand up if you like. Bryce Garrett is a guest of Paul Wickensheimer. B. Smith is a guest of Lisa Mangione. John McCarthy is a guest of the club. Daniel Curtis is a guest of Mike Snively. Stacy Lomonaco is a guest of the club. William Pender is a guest of Walt Kivett. Diva Hemphill is a guest of Dr. Knowles. And our visiting Rotarian is Mary Cordaro from New York and is a guest of the club. Thank you for coming today.
Howdy, I am Ryan Thackray here to deliver member news. It's always a pleasure being here on the Rotary meeting before 4th of July. This is when all the diehards, just everyone that's committed to Rotary to the fullest is here. You could be at your pool, on your golf cart, on vacation, but you're putting service above self. So it's my honor to be here to do member news for y'all today. The unfortunate thing is we actually don't have any member news. Now, I know somebody's had a new grandchild born, or maybe somebody got a promotion at work, but nobody's told me about it. So don't forget, if you have member news, you can shoot me an email and share your member news with the club through our member news. We do this once a month. Or if you would like to sponsor member news, remember our sponsorship deals are hot right now. They're $0 to sponsor member news. And we can give you or your company a little shout out before we give member news. But again, if you have any exciting things you want to share at the Rotary Club, look me up in DACDB, Ryan Thackray, and let me know. But I'm seeing Scott back there in the back. He's got a hot member news take here. What do you got here for us, Scott? Hot almighty. All right. Scott's got a new daughter-in-law. Well done. All right. So we did have some member news there. So congrats, Scott, and the whole Stevens crew. And then the next piece of member news is we've got some new members. Give it up for Miss Caroline.
So evidently, I was the only one that knew we were doing this today. But I have new members who are here for me to introduce them. So Tim Arthur, Slav Bogdanov. Can you help me with that? Y'all have to come up. Bogdanov. Okay. Tyler Robertson, Laura Nicholas, Brett Jones, Jack Clayton, Anne Marie Shell, and Matt Johnson. I'm going to be busy. All right. Look at all these new members. Anywhere. So I don't know you all yet. And so I can't look at you when I call your name and act intelligent with this, but in no order at all, I'm going to start with Tim Arthur. So Tim, wave, big wave, big wave. Thank you. So Tim is the husband and father of two sons, ages 8 and 4. He graduated from the University of Hard Knocks. He is currently a full-time cybersecurity architect. That's pretty impressive. Is that like a rocket scientist? Almost, yeah. And he's a part-time entrepreneur. His hobbies include golf, basketball, moonlight coding. That's a fun one. Don't y'all do that? Everybody does that, moonlight coding. And playing with his boys, which is the best part of all. He has played golf in 8 different countries. I think they keep score the same way everywhere, don't they? The yards are different. Okay. Well, Tim, welcome to the club. Thank you. Okay, Slav. Way big. There you go. Okay. So Slav says that whenever he is not exploring the outdoors on his bikes, and that means motor and mountain bike, he is paddleboarding, rock climbing, blacksmithing, or woodworking. But if you can't find him doing those things, he's at Everest Plumbing, and they will solve all of your plumbing problems. Yes. So I looked you up in DACDB, and I think you're single. Is that right? Yep. So I'm just offering any single ladies out here. We have a single guy up here. Yep. Tyler Robertson, way big. There you go. Okay. Tyler is originally from Louisville, Kentucky, and he is a University of Georgia graduate. He and his wife moved to Greenville in 2017, and they have 2 children, 4 and 2, the ages of my precious grandchildren. And just so you know, he has the inside scoop on Jennifer Lawrence. He grew up next door to her. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, y'all can shake his hand after the meeting if you want to. Okay, Laura. Laura Nicholas is a native Philadelphian who migrated from south in 2006 and decided to stay. I think we have a lot of people like that, so welcome. She earned her master's in theater arts with directing concentrations from Bob Jones University. Laura went on to pursue her terminal degree. Is that like your last one? You're not going for any more education. Her terminal degree with a master's of fine arts in directing at Baylor University. Her professional training includes theater design and direction, as well as vocal performance and theory. So guys, we need somebody to sing. This is who we call on. After a decade of working in customer service, management, education, and as a freelance theater director, designer, and stage manager, Laura stepped into the role as the managing artistic director at Center Stage in downtown Greenville in June 2020, right in the middle of COVID. She's been on staff there since 2017 and is excited to celebrate the organization's 40th anniversary season this coming year. She does have season tickets for sale if you want to see her after the meeting. She is the first woman in her family to have 2 master's degrees, and that must be why that was the final degree. Okay. And also the first person in her family to run their own business. She enjoys cooking, yoga, and travel. And she and her husband, Christopher, have been to almost 30 countries together in the 11 years of their marriage. So she's not kidding about liking to travel and probably not kidding about food and cooking. Glad to have you. Brett Jones, way big. There you go. Okay. Brett Jones is a native of Lexington, South Carolina, and he and his wife, Alice, live in Greenville. They have a son, Wyatt, 10, and a daughter, Emmeline, who is 8. He is a graduate of Furman University and is an Air Force veteran and federal law enforcement officer. That means you all have to behave today. In his spare time, he enjoys coaching his children's sports teams, college football. He enjoys beer and grilling. I'm not sure about the order of those things, sports teams, college football, beer, and grilling, but you can check on that later. One interesting fact about Brett is that he and his family lived in the Republic of Georgia for 2 years while Brett served at the U.S. Embassy there. Pretty cool. Welcome, Brett. Jack Clayton, way big. Yeah. Jack was born in New Jersey, but he lived in Central Florida for the last 40 years, where he had his own import and distribution business. He retired and has some exciting travels on his agenda. Jack and his wife, Gay, moved to Greenville 2 years ago and live near Furman University. He claims 3 sons and 6 grandchildren. So welcome, Jack. Jack became a Paul Harris Fellow during his 10-year membership at the Rotary Club of Lake Mary, Florida. It might be like a university. and he served in the Army's 101st Airborne Division. Jack's fun fact is that he is a master of disguise. He dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow for a from the Pirates of the Caribbean for a Rotary Halloween party, and not a single person recognized his real identity. Watch out, Johnny Depp. Marty, we might be able to recruit him to do something with Kringle Holiday Village. You got it on there, right? Good, good. Anne Marie Shell, there she is, waving. Anne Marie was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. She married an Air Force NCO and moved 5 times before settling in South Carolina for the last 30 years. This woman knows how to pack. She's been in Greenville the last 4 of the 30 in South Carolina. There is no doubt that this is home for her, that she was meant to be here because her ancestor, Abram Blanding, was good friends with Joel Poinsett. Yep. And was the acting commissioner of the Board of Public Works who built the now oldest bridge in South Carolina. Do y'all know what that bridge is? Yes, good job. Anne Marie has 2 children and 7 grandchildren. She has a broad clinical background in nursing, from the medical surgery floor in hospitals to managing private practices and working in home health pediatrics. She has also worked on the staff at a church for over 5 years, has been in higher ed for almost 10 years, and she is currently serving as the community liaison for Bob Jones University's School of Health Professions. This is a woman who has many passions and has pursued them. Glad to have you with us. And Matt Johnson, wave. Okay. Matt is a graduate of Landry University. Can y'all believe this? We don't have any 2 people from the same school on this. Landry University. He's been working in healthcare, so you and Anne-Marie need to talk to each other. For his entire career, 11 of those have been in long-term senior care. Y'all take note, there's some of you who are getting there, okay? Matt has been happily married for 14 years this July to his wife, Miranda. They have 3 children, Emery, Everett, and Eleanor. And I have to ask, why are they all E's? That was not planned. Your wife planned it. Okay, good. They reside in Simpsonville and have lived in the upstate most of their married lives. His interesting tidbit is he was a president of the Abbeville Rotary Club from 2021 to 2022 Rotary year. I love this part. Whoever's on nominating here needs to listen to this. He was a member for 2 months when they asked him if he'd be interested in being president. And evidently he said yes. So those of you who are looking for positions, Matt, is it Matt or Matthew? Matthew, I'm sorry. Matthew is your guy, okay? And that's all of our new members today. Thank you.
Okay, so today our presentations will be done by our own members here, our nonprofit members. We have a group of them today and then more coming in November. And if you were not on any of my emails and you are in a nonprofit organization, feel free to reach out and we'll try to get you in at some point during the year. We're going to start off with Delisa English, who is the president and CEO of the Blood Connection. And I will jump in and announce their name in between each one to keep them on track.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for the opportunity to do this. I'm told I have 5 minutes. That feels a little bit like speed dating to me, but we will get right into it. And as Lisa said, I am with the Blood Connection. I'm also a vampire, and because if you know me, you know I will ask you for your blood. I will ask you to donate. And there are many in this room who have, and I thank you, but I really want to share with you about our organization, the Blood Connection. Okay, who we are. So we're a nonprofit community blood center. We are been in the upstate for last year. We celebrated 60 years of existence. We are governed by a volunteer board of trustees. And as I said, we just celebrated our 60th anniversary, and we just today went over 800 employees. Our impact, really, this is really the important things that I want you to understand is we over 250, and really this year it'll be closer to 300,000 blood products collected and sent to hospitals. We save thousands of lives, and we do have the ability to impact thousands of lives. So you think about it, every donation, every blood donation can save up to 3 people. So if you think about the impact that has, and just knowing that 2% of cancer patients will need blood. Every 2 seconds, somebody in the US needs a blood transfusion. 1 in 5 people going into the hospital will need a blood transfusion. So we always need it there. But really, I want to talk to you about how we can engage as Rotary. We do have 15 blood donation centers. Just the week before last, we opened a new one in Anderson. I should have let you know, Ryan, for member news. And again, we have 15 throughout our presence, which we were in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and somewhat in Virginia. So we've really grown. I've been fortunate to have been at the Blood Connection for 10 years. And it's been my privilege and honor to lead this organization through some of the growth that we've had. But really what that growth impact means is patients are being served. We do have 50 plus blood mobiles, and I'm sure if you haven't been to one of our donation centers, you've seen the blood mobiles riding around town, and that helps us get to where blood donors are. And that's another important piece of our organization. So how you can connect, make an appointment to donate. People will say, oh, I just gave, and really, in reality, they gave 2 years ago. But seriously, think about making an appointment to donate. The time is right now. If you can't donate, and I understand a lot of people can't, doesn't get you off the hook. Ask somebody else to go donate in your honor, which I've had to do before when I was deferred for mad cow disease. So it's everybody's responsibility. And I'll tell you why, because blood cannot be manufactured. We can't use artificial intelligence to create this. It has to come from one human being to another. That's the only way you can get it. And it has a shelf life. It expires. So that's why I'm always asking. That's why if you see me, don't run. Just tell me you've made a blood donation, like many of you have, and I'll step back. But really help us spread the word about it. It takes all of us to keep our community safe. And then just lastly, I don't want you just to hear it from me. I'd like you to hear it from Jessica from Asheville.
My name is Jessica. In November of 2021, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I did not think I had blood cancer. I felt in the prime of my life, I had teenagers, I had a husband. To get that diagnosis was so devastating because you thought, I've lost my life. I remember sitting in a parking lot outside of a hospital because I was too sick to go into the emergency room, and we had to wait for 4 hours for a blood connection van to drive across state lines. The image of that van coming up into the parking lot and the person walking with that cooler into the hospital was such a relief when you feel like you're close to death, to know you're gonna make it through the next few days, which happened to be Christmas weekend. It was a miracle that someone chose to do that 3 days before Christmas on my behalf. If you donate blood, you're not just saving a life, you're rescuing someone. When you guys say it's like a community blood center, I felt a part of a huge community that took care of me at that time. So I would say thank you for being part of my miracle to those people.
So thank you all. For those of you who are blood donors, I cannot tell you how impactful it is to somebody's life. For those of you who haven't or want to consider it, please do, because it really does make a difference. So thank you.
I have had, I have a daughter who says she doesn't weigh enough to donate blood. Is there a weight? Oh, she's 111. Okay. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, next up is John Heers. He is the director of First Things Foundation and KP Restaurant.
Guys, Right on. So I don't even know if I use this, but first of all, malaria. Can I donate if I've had malaria? I don't think so. I've had a lot of that. So, Brett Gagimarjos, where's Brett? May me dejar sarcatoveloshi. I know Georgia. So I'm a member here, but I'm often on the road. First Things Foundation fundamentally is about relationships. It's an international aid organization founded by myself. I've lived about 7 years in various locations without running water, without electricity. Haiti, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, the Georgian Republic, Mali in West Africa, Guatemala. And in those years, what I saw was something fundamentally important to us. And that is the core and the center of anything beautiful starts with a proper human relationship. Most of our aid given overseas, really given at home, most of it is based on a good plan. Very little of it is actually based on a human relationship. And for you guys in here who are business people, you already know the answer. There was some human who sent something like their moment, their time, their effort, their heart into your work. And that allowed you to become successful. It wasn't about some plan you had, it was about a person. And you know it's true because you see it as you grow business. And so what happens overseas is what we see and what I've seen from 7 years living this way is that fundamentally the people who need the help already exist, and they exist as entrepreneurs. They exist as creative people already in Mozambique. They may not read or write, but they exist, but you don't know who they are. We find out who they are. That's our work. So we're private Peace Corps in the truest sense. All the money we've ever raised is from private individuals. And what happens is we send our people for 2 years at a time. They live in mud huts. I gotta maybe put on the second slide. They live in mud huts in Mozambique now. I live in mud huts in Mali. Our guys in Georgia live in a simple family home. In Guatemala, they live with the Mayans in Quiche Maya in the highlands of Momostenango. Our guys live on something like $2 to $3 a day, and then they speak the local language. So if you want to go meet women who have great ideas, you better speak the local language, not the colonial language. You go to Guatemala and you want to meet people with great ideas, you can in the government, but they're going to take your money, okay? If you want to get money directly to local people we call impresarios, you can't use the word entrepreneurship overseas in the same way. It implies individualism. Most societies that we're trying to help are communitarian in nature. To lift your head up in Mende, Sierra Leone, and to become wealthy means you have to give it away. That's fundamentally how that society works. So if you actually want to help people in Sierra Leone, you have to understand that. And we see that as a type of corruption. That's not what that is. That's a natural societal operation when someone becomes wealthy in Sierra Leone. So we know that about our projects, and we can report properly because we have people living in those communities. So for 2 years, you go and live, but here's the key. This is why we opened a restaurant. What we have here is material wealth. What we're lacking is human relationships that are based in time spent together. We get on computers a lot, but we need face-to-face. What we learned is when people come home, our guys from Africa, they're bringing with them, they're dragging behind the communitarian concepts with them. And they get home and they look for these things. And they're not here. Not always, don't get me wrong. So we opened a restaurant because my board kept saying, you guys need an office because people think you're trying to raise money like in your underwear in your basement or something. And so I was like, I don't want an office. We don't need an office for our work. He's like, well, open that restaurant from the Georgian Republic. That stuff they do. Because whenever you throw those parties, everyone's happy. So we opened KP Restaurant. If anybody's been, Brett, right on. Some of you have been. Did you do the table on Friday night? Yeah? All right, we're friends. Was I your Tamada? Oh, we friends then. I got to go say hi. So what happens at the restaurant is we make a little bit of money. Thank God. It's a nonprofit restaurant. It goes directly into our work. But something else happened. The same thing that happened to us in Africa or Mozambique or Georgia. What happened is the same thing happens in the restaurant. Everybody slows down, spends 3 or 4 hours at a dinner. We toast together the eternal themes of life. And the New York Times liked it enough to send a reporter and took part in it. And we were featured in the New York Times. Discovery Channel's buying a little thing we did called Lost in Greenville. They came to our restaurant because it's wacky and weird. But Brett, you've been to Georgia, you've had a Supra, you know what happens. And we're trying to share that by bringing it home. We're also looking to send people locally. I'm talking to some people in Fountain Inn about placing 2 of our field workers in Fountain Inn and letting them work locally. We worked in Appalachia, and who knows where we work? We work where we get invited. So, last thing, I don't know who's in here, but we're having a really cool fundraiser in Key Largo, November 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm about to roll out tickets. We're teaching the art of Georgian hospitality and how to toast in the fashion. Our chef is coming down. I got a buddy to donate his hotel. It's a fundraiser if you want to spend 3 or 4 days on the beach and drink a lot of good Georgian red wine, and the amber is even better. That's what we're doing. So support local people. Even if I'm working with Rotary International, if anybody in here would like to talk to me about that, that would be fantastic. If anybody in here is like, put 2 of these people, let's put them right here in Greenville, I'm down for that. We'd find a neighborhood that would invite us and our guys would go to work. So that's First Things Foundation. These are some of our projects. This woman right here is doing it's a crazy little cool project. She's trying to preserve Mayan culture, so we're helping her start and run a YouTube channel that allows her to teach the youth about their own culture. Now, someone might say, really, that's your project? That's their project. We're doing their project, which makes a lot more sense than us doing our project in Quiche, Guatemala. It doesn't make much sense. So a lot of times that happens. So I hope you all will think about First Things as we go forward in this world.
And I'm sure John will be around afterwards if you have any questions for him. Okay, this time it will be Victoria Novak, who is the Executive Director of the Greenville Literacy Association.
I have a quick little story. In the midst of a steady career as a truck driver, Raphael's life was changed forever when a severe spine injury left him jobless. Without a high school diploma, he knew there was little gainful work to be found. That's when he contacted Greenville Literacy Association. Working closely with our program managers while in recovery from his injuries, Raphael worked diligently toward his goal. Overcoming physical and emotional barriers, Raphael finished his degree in under 2 years and walked across the stage to get his diploma in 2019. So helping others find their second chance. So this is Raphael right here. And after he left GLA, he actually went on to get his undergrad in computer science. A few certificates were achieved in cybersecurity, and he is now a systems administrator. He comes back to GLA to tutor our students. So that's somewhat full circle. I'm Victoria Novak. I have the pleasure of the gig of a lifetime, the new executive director of Greenville Literacy Association. I am on day 56. I'm loving it. I'm not doing it alone. This group of individuals represents staff, volunteers, and students. And for over 58 years, Greenville Literacy Association has been enriching our community by increasing literacy and employability. So some of the impact that we have is based on the 2020 census, where in Greenville County, there are over 20,000 people that are our neighbors that do not speak English fluently. Over 40,000 individuals do not have a high school diploma. Now, I'm not a numbers cruncher. I appreciate all of the finance and accounting people that might be in here, but everybody really knows that the data says that with every degree that you have, your income grows exponentially. You give back to the community, that's economic development. That's what we do at Greenville Literacy. In 2023, and my team keeps laughing at me, the fiscal year is not done until Friday. We have served over 650 people this year in some of our programs. Here are a few of them. Our adult basic education. This is really the entry point. Everyone comes in, there's this pre-assessment. We're testing them in math, reading, writing, and science. We meet every individual where they're at. We are the only organization in Greenville County that turns no one away. It doesn't matter if you're at a 2nd grade reading level or an 8th grade reading level, we are there for you. Once we figure out where they're at, that's the program they go into. And then there's 2 paths for GED. One is about a 2-year path. We have 4 quarters per year. So most individuals are on a 2-year path to get their GED. However, there are some that come in that score pretty high. Maybe they left high school right in their senior year, right? They have that propensity to score well. They go into our GED boot camp. That's a 1-year program, 4 quarters, and they have their GED. English as a second language right now is our largest program. It's the only program where we have a waiting list, so we need tutors. And then finally, workforce development. We have a college and career navigator that comes alongside every single person that registers and starts to do career exploration and career experiences. Because for us, it's positive destinations along the way. There's not just one milestone we want them to achieve. We want them to be like Raphael. We want this to be a full circle roadmap for them. For the English as a second language, we're also looking to teach English to individuals and corporations around Greenville County, right? What a great way for training and development to retain your individuals in your organization. So in the month of May, I had 67 meetings, and I got sick last week. I'm sure that was a little bit part of it, but 67 meetings with people in Greenville County who welcomed me with open arms. And the one thing I heard from them is, when is the book sale? And when I got to GLA, I'm like, what book sale? So here's the thing. I'm a Midwestern girl. And for those of you who are Clemson fans, you'll know where I'm from because people keep talking about a 1981 football game, but we won't go there. So anyway, this book sale is what people talk about. They love it. They're looking forward to it. It's in the middle of August. We hope that you're there. There's some bookmarkers on some of the tables to show you. But the one thing that most people didn't know is that this book sale is the largest fundraiser for GLA that funds our programs. And so I'm here to continue to connect that message. We received a grant from a local marketing firm named Fuel, who rebranded us, and this is our new look for the book sale. And our campaign is, you are who you read, who are you? So I would be a really bad executive director if I didn't come out here and say, I've got some call to actions, right? Our organization, surprisingly to me, runs so much on our volunteers. In the office, we need tutors for all of our programs. Somebody at the reception desk, be the face of GLA and welcome our students. Be thought partners. My board of directors is amazing. They're a strong 16-seat group. I'm looking for innovative people, even on our subcommittees. So if you're looking to serve on a board, great. One-on-one coffee with me. I have met so many people, and it's just been so exhilarating that if you know somebody that I need to know that aligns with what we're doing, I want to meet them. And then finally, our book sale. So August 11th is our Friday kickoff party. You get first dibs at the books. We have over 5,000 volunteer hours into this book sale. They processed over 130,000 books this year. So the weekend of August 12th and 13th, every book funds some type of student. We need volunteers for our book drive. We also take donations. If you're familiar with Grateful Brew, in November, come out for their trivia night. Proceeds are going to GLA. And then finally, I promised my board $200,000 in new revenue this year, and I'm going to do this. By the way, I come from 22 years of debt collections before I decided to go to college at age 36. So I can do some money, right? But here we go. I'm giving you just a brief little update of what it costs for a student to go through. This is Quenisha. Met her in my first 2 weeks. She came in, scored the highest that she possibly could. She's going into the GED boot camp. Will cost $600 for her to do that. Finally, Raphael. Now it's come full circle. He was just nominated and voted in to be the very first GED graduate in 58 years of GLA to serve on our board of directors. That's DEI. I'm getting cut off. One final thing. I have 2 amazing executive directors that were part of GLA, Bessie Lee and Jane Thomas, and I have learned so much history reading through what they've written that I came across an article. Mr. George Fletcher had no idea, right, that he would be here. Just a Rotary article and how Rotarians have really given back to GLA from the beginning of time. We are 58 years old, and I appreciate being able to read these stories and tell the story of GLA. So thank you very much.
So next up is Rob Rowen, Executive Director and CEO of Global Action Coalition.
Okay, thank you all for having me here. I'm going to start the timer. So Global Action Coalition is an example of what people who are volunteers can do on a major way and make a difference. We have a small board, started in Florida. Now it's a mix of Florida and South Carolina. The work we do is, in the microcosm, is working, helping women and children in faraway places, which you'll see in a second. And on the macrocosm, in the last few years, I've become involved with world issues, putting on world conferences. We have a climate emergency response forum coming up that we're going to work on. We're doing stuff in many ways, but let me just show you. So here is the beginning for me of my nonprofit thing is before we headed up in the mountains of Nepal with my partner over here, Hemu Adhikari, and he and I started Global Action Coalition, and we started bringing books and different things up. Here we are at this remote village, giving them backpacks. Kids wouldn't take them off. They were so enthralled. And of course, they honor you every time. That was the beginning. Here I am in another village, another trip. I've been to Nepal many times, and I'm being thanked before I've even done anything. We started a lunch program in this village. We found out that if you feed kids, they go to school. Because a lot of the villages of these areas, they don't understand education. But feeding the child is a big deal. Also, sweaters is a big deal because the kids are cold. And so we found out kids weren't coming to school when it got cold. So we started giving them sweaters. And those sweaters take a life on. They live on from passed on to their brothers and sisters. And that's Rupen. He's one of my partners over there. I can always count on Rupen. We also did training. We found out that the teachers were, the problem we had is these teachers had a high school education at best. And so they really didn't have very much to, so we decided we needed to do some training. So we brought some people in to do training, and in fact, we're still doing training. We're sending someone to Nepal this fall to do another training. This training is going to be more with entrepreneurship, teaching people how to do something. We're going to offer, again, microloans, which we do. And in this situation, we're going to train them how to use them, how to organize that whole thing. I've been to Djibouti, is another place, which is near Ethiopia. And I worked with the Djibouti Army on this project. So this is my friend who is serving at Central Command. We went to this remote village, and I mean, this village took a long drive to get there. And when they heard us coming, they could see us from miles out. All the women and children lined up to welcome us. Again, we hadn't even done anything. What we ended up doing is they needed, I'm going to go back a second so I don't, so this whole area had had a tent. It was a UNICEF tent. It was in tatters. So we needed to do something because that was the school. So I went and I approached and searched for about a year. I promised them I would come back with something. I found these Blue Med shelters through the Central Command, which just shows how you could pull different people together. And here we are. We ended up having 5 of them, and it was more complicated to put these up than the Djibouti Army had the expertise. So I got the Navy Seabees involved. So you'll see they got Navy Seabees, Djibouti Army guys, and the community all mixed up and putting on this project. And that was really a whole lot of fun to do that. And this is that village I mentioned. Here's 3 of the tents we gave them. And here they are, the kids in the tents. It's now a school. And then the one in the Djibouti city was a place that the kids sleep in now, because a lot of the kids in that city were sleeping under pieces of wood and tin. Then when COVID happened, well, remember how tough it was for a lot of people. We had no idea what it was like in Nepal. The buses stopped, work stopped, people got hungry. And so the situation was we ended up having to do something. We started feeding them. We were working with our partner to do food trucks in the area. Then we started a project in Albania, a whole different world. So in fact, maybe some of you might know Alex Akuli, who's at Furman now, was at USC. Well, actually that's Alex's daughter over there in the white. This school, beautiful building, but it didn't have any books, didn't have a library. So we got computers donated, and there's Alex over there next to me. And that was kind of a real fun thing. And our latest project is, and that's Marilyn Khalil, my friend from who might, I think I'm gonna bring her to the lunch. Anyway, she's gonna come, but was doing a hospice project in there. That's my 5 minutes. I can go over a little bit, just to show you, this is it. So just to say one last thing. So what am I up about is, so I'm trying to work and make a difference in the world, but we have to look at the world on a small level of what we can do to make a ripple in these villages and these places like John's doing, you know, the literacy. And on a bigger level, we have to look and see how can we find some answers to these climate problems? How can we work together? And that's my bigger project, bringing generals, bringing diplomats, NGOs, business all together and saying, okay, let's solve these problems. Let's use innovation solutions. So, and thank you for letting me go before Ryan. Ryan's always so good.
Okay, and now we will end with Ryan Thackray, the Associate Director of Philanthropy at the Nature Conservancy of South Carolina.
Rob, you can have my time if you make a donation to Nature Conservancy right now. You can 5 more minutes up here, trade out. Real quick, it's an honor to get to chat about the work I get to do in front of my fellow Rotarians. I had the privilege of working for the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy is the world's largest and leading conservation organization. We have chapters in all 50 states and operations in 82 countries abroad. Our mission is a science-based, nonpartisan approach to protecting the lands and waters on which all life depends, that is our mission, is to protect the lands and waters on which all life depends. And our vision is to create a world where people and nature thrive together. When we bring to the table, we have over 1 million dedicated members across the globe, over 4,000 conservationists on staff. Again, this shows 79 countries. We've added 3 since I had this slide made. Just shows a little bit about our partnerships. We do conservation at scale. And when you're quite literally trying to save the planet, protecting the last great places on our planet Earth is a big way to do that. But it is expensive and it takes a lot of science, it takes a lot of thought partners and leaders. And that's where TNC comes in. To go out, our bread and butter of our mission is to find those most ecologically sensitive places in South Carolina or across the world and put those in protection perpetuity. Again, this is a snapshot. We have, again, chapters in all 50 states. We have a South America region, Latin America region. We have an Asia Pacific region, Africa region. And what's really, and of course, our work in Europe as well. And what's neat about the science, being a science-based organization, is that we're sharing the science project to project, country to country. The same way that we are protecting water along the Savannah River here in South Carolina, we're using that same method to protect water in Kenya. Because the science is science, right? And so being a global organization, we can find the best practices that work and implement those at scale, make sure we protect our resources for future generations. Drill it down to South Carolina. That's your big global approach at TNC. Well, here's what the Nature Conservancy is doing in South Carolina. What makes us unique is we work mountains to sea. So I work out of our Greenville office. We have offices in Columbia and down the low country. We know that our water resources here in the upstate eventually make their way down to the low country. So it's important that we work statewide. It's important that we work with other chapters that have operations that touch down the Appalachians. We know that a bear doesn't know if they're in North Carolina or South Carolina. A tree doesn't know where it's growing. So it's important that we work with these chapters in other states to have a common sense approach to protecting land and water and restoring our forest, securing fresh water, taking climate action, focusing on resilience and adaptation and sustainable fisheries, those strategic pillars there. Those are where our action hits the ground here in South Carolina. I want to talk about just a couple quick projects. Freshwater for a growing population. Just last month, May 24th, we celebrated a big anniversary with our partners at Greenville Water, celebrating 30 years of conservation protection of our 2 main watersheds here in the upstate, the Table Rock and North Saluda reservoirs. 30 years protection. This is unheard of. 30 years ago, when our state leaders, when our county commissioners, Greenville Water commissioners came together and said, hey, we're going to protect, this area is growing. We're going to protect the area around our water resources. These trees serve like straws. They filter the water. We want to make sure that our land is intact around our watersheds. So Greenville Water and the Nature Conservancy partnered up together 30 years, put a conservation easement on 30,000 acres of Greenville watersheds. And now the Nature Conservancy works each year on an annual basis with Greenville Water to protect those 30,000 acres, to use prescribed fire to restore those forests around our watersheds that ultimately lands the drinking glasses on our tables today, and why we have some of the best drinking water in the whole country, if not the whole world, is because the forethought of our leaders here in our county that decided to partner up with a conservation organization to protect these natural resources. But we're also doing more than just protecting water. As I mentioned, our bread and butter has always been land protection. This is my last slide here, but we're always looking out for the most ecologically sensitive places that we can go and protect and make a difference. Back in 2018, we partnered up with a local family and we purchased a 955-acre tract of land that they owned adjacent to Jones Gap State Park. Jones Gap State Park, if they all haven't been, it's a great place to check out. And it's really a gem of hiking trails and a gem of a state park here in the upstate. But it's busy. There's only 17 parking spots. If you go there on a Saturday morning, it's like a nightclub, one in, one out, right? Well, we're happy that we purchased this Gap Creek property, 955 acres back in 2018. It's adjacent to Jones Gap State Park. We transferred that land to South Carolina State Parks. We protected with an easement from Upstate Forever. And now we're working with Palmetto Trails to design and build 20 miles of trails that are connecting this new property to Jones Gap State Park. We are also going to chop down a few trees to add a new parking lot. Again, we are a science-based organization. Okay to knock down a couple trees. We're going to build a parking lot here, have more access for folks to enjoy the outdoors and be inspired by fresh air and clean water. That's a little bit about the work that we do at the Nature Conservancy. Nature.org is our website. We have an awesome YouTube channel, the Nature Conservancy, as well. So I encourage you all to check that out. Happy to chat with you all. And Lisa and I have already been talking about some TNC Rotary hikes in 2023. So get excited. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, that is true. That's going to be upcoming. Okay, thank you to all our speakers today. We do have a book, if you can all stick around. For those that are new and aren't aware, we do have our speakers sign a book that we donate to Alexander Elementary School. So we'll have all 5 of you sign this one. And we have on 7/6, our Thirsty Thursdays at 5 p.m. is at Double Stamp Brewery this time. Please make it out to that if you can. Stop in any time, starting at 5 p.m. And I will say this is one person's last meeting today. So if you get a chance, please wish Paul Wickensheimer well. He'll be retiring from Rotary also. We hate to see him go, but thank you for all your years of service. And now we can stand, please, and our 4-way test. It's over there. Of the things we think, say, or do. The truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Meeting adjourned.